Hey there, everyone. Jake Soretta here, and welcome back to this week's episode of Authority Builders Ranking Secrets. Now, this week's episode, we're going to be talking about something that's really critical to visibility right now. Why some content becomes a source that AI systems actually use in answers, and more importantly, why most content never will. Now, we're not just talking about ranking pages on Google search. We're talking about being selected as a trusted recommendation or citation in AI models' responses. So without further ado, like the video, subscribe, and let's start unpacking this. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about what AI sources actually are and where they come from. First, let's be clear. AI answers don't just pull from patterns and content across the web. They don't just index pages like a search engine does. They look for signals that tell them, hey, this piece of content coming from this brand is authoritative, it's widely recognized, and it's useful. Recent Ahrefs studies back this up. They studied over 75,000 brands and found that brands with the strongest signals correlated with AI visibility the most. And brand mentions across the web were by far one of the most important factors, not the number of share pages or the pure amount of backlinks that your website has. So whenever we're talking about becoming the AI answer source, we're really talking about trust signals and authority, which really is the same stuff that Google has been parroting on and about for years. All right, so that leads us into our first signal. Like I said, brand mentions and web presence go hand in hand. The first major pattern that Ahrefs found in that study was that branded web mentions correlate extremely strongly for AI visibility. So Ahrefs found that in their study that brands in the top quartile of web mentions had up to 10x more AI citations than those that were just below them. So that tells us extremely important as SEOs. It's no longer just about what's on your website and what you say about your brand, but it's about what's off your website is saying about your brand. AI systems learn from where your brand appears. So think citations, guides, video transcripts, social media accounts. That's what makes your content trustworthy and eligible to be cited as an answer source. So just publishing one study that you think is valuable for your readers, but not doing anything to promote that on your website is not going to do anything to train web sources that you are providing real actionable info that could get cited whenever people ask LLMs questions. So this goes hand in hand in signal number 2, and that's that third-party valuation of your brand beats just pure volume of content and backlinks. So here's the next lesson that we can draw from that Ahrefs study, and that's that third-party validation beats volume of links 10 out of 10 times now. The sheer number of backlinks or the number of pages that you're publishing on your website actually has really low correlation with how you show up in AI visibility. So that's a big shift from traditional SEO thinking. Instead of racing to publish more posts, AI systems are learning how to reward widely based off of your brand's off-site credibility. So in other words, who talks about you and who else is talking about you matters way more than how many blogs you post or just the sheer number of irrelevant spammy backlinks you're getting from websites that don't add any value to the internet. So this doesn't mean that your content isn't important. This doesn't mean that link building isn't important. It means that there's been a big shift in how AI systems actually identify authority across the web. And the tactics that we were using in the early 2000s, well, you probably shouldn't have been doing them in the past couple of years anyways, but especially now, it's time to cut it out with that spammy link building and spammy spun content stuff. You can't fool the game as much anymore. So there's a third pattern here that matters a lot when it comes to creating content on your website. We're finding time and time again throughout these studies that content that gets cited more in AI answers is structured and more easy to digest for clarity and referenceability. So this means that clear definitions, structured lists, clear numbers are going to be what AI needs to see in order to pull and cite you as a source. So again, clear definitions, concise explanations, and well-organized sections that are easy for people and AI models to actually vectorize, well, that's going to be what makes you stand out over your competitors. So Ahrefs has an AI visibility audit like in Site Explorer and in brand mentions, where you can see how your content shows up in AI models. Now, this matches what a lot of people are calling answer engine optimization. It's not really magic, but it's about writing in a way that these AI models can actually reference your content and cite you as the source. So, on the other side of that coin, let's talk about what most content gets wrong and why people aren't being cited as sources in AI models while others are. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the other side of that coin, and that's what most content gets wrong. This is what most people actually overlook whenever they're publishing content. So, most content doesn't really get cited as an AI answer source because it falls into one or more of these buckets. One, it's written for rankings and not for clarity. Two, it never gets referenced outside of the brand website. Three, it's buried in a blog and might not even be referenced internally on the website where it matters the most. And four, it lacks structured, well-written content that is easy for AI models to digest. So Ahrefs clearly shows through their study that publishing more pages is not going to get you cited more. What matters more is making sure that your content and your sources are vetted and verifiable so that you can be the authority in your industry. If your brand is being talked about on other websites and on your website, and you're publishing true content that helps people learn things about your industry, AI has no choice but to cite you as the expert. Okay, so how can you up your credibility? How can you actually become a source? Let's talk about some actionable steps that you can do today. One, first, you need to get a lay of the land. Audit where your brand is mentioned. Use tools like Ahrefs Brand Radar to see where your brand is showing up in AI responses and on the web elsewhere, through Google search and social media. All of these things are still important. Also, make sure to look for opportunities to be referenced in industry roundups, reputable niche publications, video descriptions, podcasts. These brand mentions all across the web are going to help you be cited and looked at as an authority. And then third, write content that answers, not just ranks. Aim for clarity, clear definitions, and maybe you can use some AI tools to help you with writing, like, Surfer SEO is a good one. Ahrefs even has a content editor in there, but don't over rely on those tools. Really, what you need to do is put yourself in the shoes of someone who would be reading your blog and answer questions in a clear, precise, and structured way. And if you want help finding out where your brand is already showing up in AI systems and where it might not be yet, but your competitors are, you can always schedule a call with one of our team members to get a free review of your brand in your industry and show where you're showing up in AI systems as well as Google search. So that just about does it for this week's episode. And really, the main takeaway here is that AI doesn't pick content arbitrarily. It learns from patterns, brand mentions, third-party validation, structured content, and only a fraction of content meets that standards right now. So if you're looking to up your game, maybe take a look at your current process, take a look at things that maybe you should have stopped doing 5-10 years ago, and really make some actionable changes to your content and link building strategy so that you can replicate the success of the people at the top. So make sure to like, subscribe, and keep building that real authority. Cheers.